Well, fresh off the heels of the previous repair, the U2000, we have here a U5000. And upon initial inspection, it's just as bad, if not worse, than the U2000 that we just fixed. Let's take this off. It's covered in a fine mist of dirt. You can see here that it's covered in this fine mist of dirt here. The corner is busted, but it's not a big deal. There's no traces there. The vertical sweep mod is completely corroded and burned and broken. If we zoom in a bit more here, you can see that it's just absolutely corroded, and it looks like somebody broke it apart. I can't say, but I mean, I think I have one of these, a spare one of these, but I used one recently and I don't know if I have another one, but I may. So we'll have to see if I can find that. If we take a look here, the neck board is not in too bad a shape, but I can already tell you that we've got loose traces here, because you can move, that one flaps around, that one flaps around, that one's a bit solid, but these two flap around, so those have broken traces. The pots seem to be okay, but like I always do, let's go ahead and wipe them a bit and put them to the center position. Those are already centered, as they should be. Alright, so we've got some bent over resistors as always. We'll just kind of mold those, and just like every other one, no one puts the the strain relief back in, but that's okay because we're going to be removing it. And just like the U2000 and the 7400 prior to this one, I was told that this is dead. So we're about to find out as we go through just if that's accurate or really what's going on here. If we look at the remote board, a couple of them are bent out of shape here, but none of them appear to be broken. So that's good, hopefully anyway. We'll find out. Set that aside. Now, for the fun part. Let's go through and do our inspection. This is bent over, this is bent over. I don't see anything bulging or missing yet. Nope, looks okay. Somebody has replaced the B plus resistor. This main B plus resistor here, somebody has replaced with, it used to be a wire wound, it's hard to say, wire wound resistor here, like these, and someone has replaced it with a ceramic. So, yep, R100 is what that one is. So that's interesting, and somebody has done a cap kit already. Well, I say that this looks like a partial cap kit. Well, already I can tell you this is wrong. This is supposed to be a 50 volt 1500, like I mentioned in the previous video. Somebody put looks like they put a U2000 cap kit on a U5000, because this is absolutely supposed to be 1500 on the 5000. It's 1000 on the 2000. But on the 5000 it's 1500, so that's the wrong cap. I don't know offhand, by looking at the rest of these, if, well, I think that's wrong, 250/47. I could be mistaken, but I also think that this is wrong just off of memory. But we'll go through the caps later. I'm not worried about that at this point. But we have the burned up and corroded vertical sweep mod. We have the wrong caps installed. We have the broken corner. We have the changed out resistor. We have a little bit of corrosion on R732 here, but that's not the end of the world. Linearity pot's okay. And just for a little bit of education, you've got this capacitor here is the capacitor for the medium resolution side, and it's the horizontal. Basically, like on a K7000, you have C38. This is your horizontal width cap, basically, for the 25 kilohertz side medium resolution, and this is your cap for the 15 kilohertz standard resolution side. So if you ever have horizontal collapse on the 5000, if you have horizontal collapse on one side and not the other, I would go for either one of these two capacitors here, the polycaps. Just for a little bit of information there. Well, it doesn't look like we're missing anything. I don't see any bulging caps, but I know for a fact that this is wrong, so who knows if the rest of them are correct. I'll go through and verify. But the back side doesn't look too bad, but it has had some work done to it. Someone's replaced the HOT. There's a bunch of cobwebs floating around on it, but it doesn't look too bad. This one's not cracked and broken like the last one. So I started off by saying that this is just as bad, if not worse, but in actuality it's probably actually not as bad. The video header pins, the header selection pins, are not cracked or broken, so the solder is actually, it's mostly original. Looks like someone's reflowed these two, but all the rest of them look original and they're not cracked or broken. So this may be a low hour U5000, because usually the high hour ones have all these cracked and broken. But the bottom of the board really isn't that bad. The power connector header, or the power connector pins, are, this one here appears to be cracked very slightly. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but in person it looks to be a bit cracked. So is this one. Very common, so we'll have to reflow those before we even turn power on, or try to. Okay, so what are we looking at here? It looks like everything seems to be visually okay. The video header pins are okay. We got to reflow the power input pins, but I don't see anything else just off the bat that looks like any kind of butchery, or somebody has reflowed the pins for the vertical IC, so that doesn't bode well for us. Well, it looks okay. So yeah, I guess what we can do is see if any of the components test bad in the power circuit. And you know what, let me hang on a second. Let's grab a cap kit here. Is it going to be the last one I pull out here? Nearly. So it looks like some of the caps have been changed, but definitely not all of them. Because I think this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one are original, but someone has changed the other major ones. So, but for instance, I think it's C613. Anyway, we saw here the 50 volt 1000, but if we look on the actual kit, it's supposed to be, well, 35 volts to fine, but it's supposed to be 1500. This is the one that's supposed to be in this position. I guarantee I can tell you from experience. So with one cap being the wrong rating, I want to go through and check all the rest of them. 250 volt 47, I don't think that is correct for this position. And then let's see, C107. Let's see what C107 is supposed to be. This is 250 volt 47. C107. Where are you? See, look, 250 volt 33. 250 volt 33. So my theory is correct. Probably half of these caps aren't the right rating. Someone's got 47 in there. So who knows what problem that's causing. So you know what we're going to do is I'm going to test all of the components and see if we can get our B plus to work and see if we can get our light bulb test to function. If we can, and if we do, and we have good stable B plus, I'm going to do the full cap kit and all the reflow work and everything done to this before I even try and turn it on. And we'll test with the fact that all of the vertical IC pins have been reflowed and the fact that we've got the wrong caps installed, I'm wondering if we might have vertical collapse issues. So doing the full cap kit will ensure that it's not a cap problem or the wrong rating or in the wrong position. Doing the cap kit will alleviate that possibility, and then we're left with possibly R303, D302, or R4, which I think it's whatever resistor this is, this one here, because this can cause collapse issues also, or D603. We'll go through and test everything that we normally test. I'm not going to be worried about the collapse problem or possibility. I mean, the collapse possibility. First, let's just go through and test all of our power components like we normally do and do our light bulb test. If that all passes and we have, you know, B plus around 124 or 125, like I said before, when I use the 23 watt bulb, my B plus is actually around 124 or 125. And when you put the full load on this from the picture tube, it drops down to 117, 118. So if we can get 124 or 125 off the power supply with this, then I know our B plus is going to be good. So yeah, let's do that. Let's test all of our components and do our I just realized something. Let's do our test and test our components. If it's all good, we'll do our light bulb test and kind of go from there. But I just noticed that, like the last one, this one's bent too. We're 2 for 2 now on the heatsink being cocked out to the side. I don't recall that ever being like that, but we got 2 for 2 now that are like that, so I'll have to fix that one too. So let's set our cap kit aside and let's start doing our testing. And hopefully everything tests okay and we get our light bulb test to function. But somebody has absolutely changed the HOT because they did not cut off the extra part of the legs that stick out. So let's start with voltage regulator. Alright, so we should have 1.0 and 0.5. Okay, voltage regulator is good. Switch mode power supply chip, voltage drop. Voltage drop, 1.5 and 1.5 or 1.7, depends, 1.7. So that chip should be good. Let's test R104. We're looking for 10K ohm. Well, that's not good. There we go. Okay, 13.5. Got oxidation on the legs was reading in the mega ohm, but if we push a little harder, 13.5K, that's fine. 13 to 10K ohm is what this usually reads. So that indicates that our power supply section should work. But let's test the HOT. HOT shorted. Son of a bitch. So we'll have to remove the HOT before we do our power supply test. But the HOT is shorted. So with the HOT being shorted on the 5000, it could be caused by one of the capacitors being the wrong rating or installed in the wrong spot. but it can also be caused by R765. R765, this guy here, or R760, this guy here, either one of those two being open can take out the HOT. So let's test R765. 33K is normal. I think this one's around 470, either 100 or 470, somewhere around there. Uh-oh, did we find our problem? I think we found our problem. R760 appears to be open. If we go to, if we go to the back side here, let's look. It's always hard to kind of get this in view here. Okay, so these two pads here should be 765. Can we get this in frame here? Let's back up a bit. So these two should be 765. Yep, there's our 33K. And then these two should be 760. And it's open. Well, that was quick and easy. Diagnosis there. So we can't even try to turn this on until we replace R760. So we need to remove the HOT R760, but that can be later because if we remove the jumper here, W159 I think it is, 450, whatever this jumper is, we remove this jumper out of the circuit to test our power supply section. And when we take this jumper out of the circuit, all of the rest of this side of the chassis is dead. So we don't need to worry about that for now. So I guess we can keep going here. So our HOT is gone, most likely because R760 is open. But let's go ahead and test our Q703. We should get, I think, at 1.0 from the center to this one. Oh, no, it's going to read the same way back both sides because the HOT shorted. So we need to remove the HOT before we can really test Q703 because it's going to read the 0.6 on each side. This right here should be 1.0. Should not have the voltage drop, should be 1.0, but because we have the shorted HOT, it's going to read the voltage drop because through the other components and stuff. But I guess what we'll do is let's just lift out the leg of our jumper here and do our power supply test. See if our light bulb lights up. Because like I said, with this out of the circuit, nothing else here is powered. So I'm just curious to see what that does. So let's go ahead and do that. Turn everything on here. Hopefully we can get this working by just doing the cap kit, doing the reflow, replacing 760, replacing the HOT, and hopefully that's all that this needs. The neck board, it looks to be in good shape, but we need to talk to whoever Allied Games is and ask them why they put the wrong caps in. But otherwise, this appears to be in good shape. Hopefully, we don't have another bad chip because I don't have another one for. Actually, yeah, I do. I had that one extra from the last video, and then I have this spare neck board that I robbed parts from, as you can see. I do believe this is good, so I do have one extra. But I'm fairly certain that this is probably going to be okay. Hopefully, I think we just have a bad 760 that's taking out the HOT. Hopefully that's all it is, and the wrong caps installed. Okay, so now that's all been said. Let's see if we can get this jumper out of here. It's pretty flat on the board. It's going to be fun trying to. Oh, never mind. I was able to hook it. Just hook it in there. Where the hell did that go? There we go. Okay. Nope. Gosh dang it. Come on. There you go. You lazy rotten bum, you. Alright, so with that out of there, we should be able to do our light bulb test. So let's back out. Right about there. Let's get everything ready. We got our negative lead here to attach to here. We've got our lead here for our light bulb. And we have our lead here for our power. Volts DC. Clip onto the same leg. Okay, let's get our power hooked up. Let's get our light bulb at the ready. Okay, let's see here, volts DC. Well, I guess we are ready. We're hooked up. Okay, let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we have a functional power supply because we're reading 170 volts. So, any bets? Place them now. But that's a good reading, 172 under no load. Here we go. Yes, 122. So I think our B plus will probably be around 116 or so when we go to give this a full load on full load under the picture tube. But we have a sustained working power supply section. So let's go ahead and turn power off and discharge it. So now we can handle it safely. So let's put the jumper back in before I forget, because I always end up forgetting that. Well, that's one step in the right direction at least now. And I mean, all of our testing indicated that that would work. And even, like I said before, even with all this other stuff wrong, because we took that out of the circuit, it doesn't energize any of this part of the chassis. It just energizes this right here. So, okay, let's put that back in. This is going to be tough because of the angle here. The angle of the dangle. You know, and let's clean this off so I can get that through there. Okay, that'll be better now. Man, this is really wonky. But we got it. Okay. And we had it. There we go. Alrighty. So now that we know that's good, I guess what we can do is take out R760 and the HOT and see what those read out of circuit. Let's just go ahead and trying to remember where it was at without cheating. I'm gonna have to cheat because I lost. There it is, right here. This one. And this one. All right. $760, you're coming out of there. There you go. There it is. So let's test it out of circuit. I'm assuming it's going to be wide open. And it is indeed wide open. Yep, so we absolutely have an open R760, which absolutely will take out your HOT. So we'll set this aside. Let's take out the HOT. Well, it's already been taken out. Let's remove. Let's remove the HOT. The only reason you may be asking yourself, how did I know that it was R760 or R765? Because I have seen this many times, and that's the first place I always go to when the HOT is shorted on the U5000 is R760 or R765, because it's notorious for the causing this issue. Now, with this being the wrong rating, that may have contributed to it. I can't say, I don't know the logic behind why that happens, but I've just seen so many of these with the blown HOT, not blown, blown is an open, blown's open, shorted is shorted. So it's not a blown HOT, it's a shorted HOT. If it was blown, it would read open on the meter, not shorted. So I've just seen so many times the shorted HOT be caused by 765 or 760. In this case it was, oh, I put it over there somewhere, 760. So just as a experience there, I'm glad that was the case here, because I can share it with you guys and you can see for yourself how quick and easy you can diagnose stuff if you know from previous experience what could be the cause. So let's get this out of here. I knew something was up because you could see the HOT had been replaced before. Now normally I'd be using my desoldering gun for this, but as I'm about to show you, it's kind of out of commission. Let's get this out of here first. Okay. Right out. There we go. So let's test it out of circuit. Shorted. Shorted. It's a goner. So, my desoldering gun. It's not exactly working so well. I was trying to use it on a previous repair attempt, and I was moving it around trying to get the solder out, and because it was so hot, I was moving it around trying to get the solder loose, and it just broke. And I tried to epoxy it back together, and it was not successful. It'll go back together and work just fine, but I have no way to hold it in place. And I can't take the plate off of here and drill through into it because there's nothing to drill through. So I'll have to get another desoldering gun later, but for now, that's why last few videos you've been seeing me just use the braid, because the braid's cheap and I can get it in a day or two from Amazon, and I buy 3 rolls at a time, and I have to place a new order for these, the fiberglass pens. So when I do that, I'll just get another gun and a couple of more rolls of braid, and not a big deal. Okay, so let's test our pads to make sure. Well, someone put 2. They've got 2 insulators here. Well, that's fine, whatever. So let's test our pads to make sure our pads aren't still shorted, because that's something you always want to do, is make sure that it's not something else on the circuit that's still shorted. So if we go here to here and our pads are not shorted, let's test Q703 again, see if it now reads 1.0, 1.2. Okay, that's fine. And then the other leg should be our voltage drop. Yep. So I think we're good. Where can I find an R760? I've got HOTs out the yin yang, but I don't know about R760. Let me look through my stash here and see if I can find nope, I have stolen R760 from this one already. It's gone. R765 and R760 are gone from this one. Well, in theory, I can use any. I think it's 400 ohms. It's either 100 or 400, depending on the revision of the chassis. Yeah, and this one doesn't have it. The 7400 doesn't have it, but yeah, that's a 1 ohm resistor. 54, 220. I may be able to use this. I may be able to use this one, but it's too big of a wattage. I need to look and see what it actually is supposed to read. I need to see if I can find one. I have to go dumpster diving here and see if I can find a 760. Hold on a second. Alright, so as it just so turns out, just so happens to be that I've got a whole closet full of parts chassis. You know, chassis over the years that somebody has removed a flyback or blown something up and they sell it for parts, and I'll buy it so I can use it for parts for just this occasion. And as you can see, it's got a 760 right here. And it happens to be a 5000. And if you look here, 35 volt, 1500. So yep, they've got the wrong caps in here. Probably put a U5000 cap in here. Or they probably put a U5000 cap kit in here. So we're about to find out really if that's true or not. But as it just happens to be, it does not have the vertical sweep mod because I already robbed it. So I'm gonna have to go back and look and see if I can find one. I'm fairly certain I have one floating around somewhere. If not, I can probably make this work. And in all likelihood, it probably does work, but it's missing the mounting piece that will allow me to mount it to the hole on the side here. There's a hole on the side right here that you're supposed to take this thing and mount it to so this kind of thing doesn't happen. But I don't even know how this got so corroded, but nothing on the chassis is corroded. Like this was sitting in a puddle of water where the rest of it wasn't. But let's test and see what R760 reads on this one. It should be around 440, I think. 400. 470, close enough. So now we have a functional R760. I think we had a major issue on this one because it's all charred here by the HOT. So yeah, and we can use this one as a template for what the caps should be on this one. So let's remove R760 out of this one. Alright, that should be loose enough to get out of here. No? Okay. There you are. Out she goes. And put that one aside like the rest of them. And let's see if we can get this reinstalled in here. Actually, I need to bend this leg straight here, or flatten it out, I should say. All right. Outstanding. There it is. R760 successfully reinstalled. Let's test it again in circuit. Oop. 470, right like it should be. So now let's get another HOT installed. Grab my parts here. So disorganized. Here they are. Again, like I said before, I like to use this FJL series HOT. It's FJL 6920. And I got 1, 2, 3 left, so I'm running kind of low. Hopefully that was the only problem on this, was that resistor, and we don't blow up another one. But our pads weren't shorted, so in theory this should work. But the last time we had this problem, R823 was bad, if we recall that video. So this should be around 1.2 ohms and 2.5, yeah, close enough. The last time this was bad, it was reading 0. It read, when I first read it, it was 0.0, and then as I was testing it, it went to 0.2, but that was the cause of the HOT going out on the last time we had a HOT going out. So let's get this back together here. Okay. And again, just snug is all you need. You don't need to tighten it really that much. Alright, so that should be good. Get rid of these legs. Okay, diode checker and 0.4 and 0.4. So, alrighty. Now I will say that we do not need this for standard resolution. You only have to have this hooked up if you're using medium resolution. If you go over to medium resolution, you have to hook this up. You'll see there's a connection here with a wire and a connection without a wire. You want to have this header pin installed in the slot with no wire for 15, and for 25 you want to move it over to the slot with the wire, or you can damage your vertical circuit. So I don't know if maybe that's what occurred and that's what's wrong. Speaking of which, now that we have, we know we have a power supply section good, we've taken care of our HOT being shorted. This is replaced. R760 is now reading correctly in circuit. Let's test to make sure that we don't have any horizontal collapse, vertical collapse by testing all the components for the vertical circuit. R303 should be 1.2 ohms. That is this guy here. We have 1.7, that's good. D302 is the guy underneath it. Should be regular diode. That's good. We need to test D603. If D603 is shorted. Not shorted, I'm sorry. If D603 reads, it reads both ways, this way and that way, we got a shorted vertical IC. So when you test D603, you want to make sure that it only reads one direction. The correct direction, I mean. So this should be the diode. And if I swap the leads, it should not read like a diode. It does not. So we should have a good vertical IC. And we can test all of the legs to ground. There should only, I think pin 4 should be the only leg that reads to ground. So if we go to ground here, and we go to pin 4, or 5. 5 is the ground. 5 is the ground. There's 5. So 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the vertical IC should be okay. Well, I guess now I don't even want to power this up with these wrong caps in here, because at least there's one for. Look at all the crap on the. Well, I guess you can't see because of the angle you're at, but the whole thing's covered in dirt from handling and turning this thing over and around and working on it. I don't even want to attempt to power it up. We could, in this condition, we could power it up because we know that we fixed, in theory, our HOT issue. We have good power supply, but I don't want to do that with the possible wrong caps installed. So let's. I'm going to cut away, do the full complete cap kit, see if I can find one of these vertical sweep mods, get that installed, and then we'll hook it up to a tube and see what we get. I'm going to do the cap kit, the reflow, the inspection. I'm going to fix everything on the neck board, get that all taken care of, basically to a point to where it's done. And then we'll do some testing and hopefully it works. If not, we'll have to go back and figure out what else is wrong. But everything in theory should be good from what our testing showed. So I've got the cap kit here. I'll get this installed. I'll try and find one of these. We'll get all the rework done, neck board, main board, and then hopefully it works. So yeah, okay, I'm going to cut away here, cross your fingers, and when I come back, we'll see if it works. Okay, all the work has been performed. The full cap kit has been installed. I found 2 caps that were the wrong rating. I got all the reflow work done, all the inspection work done, all the neck board rework done, got all of the transistors aligned and all the resistors aligned and the other transistors here away from the heat sinks like I always do, and everything's cleaned up and reworked and looking good. So let's turn this over and show the back of this. Everything is good to go. All of the header pins for the video selection, the power, the main header pins for the video, anything and everything that was even oxidized the slightest is all redone, and I was able to successfully acquire another vertical sweep assembly here. This is the original one that was all burned up and corroded and who knows what happened to it. So I actually had one of these, believe it or not, in the closet with my assorted, is what I meant to say, my assorted collection of parts chassis. I've actually found this laying on the floor. So the wires had broken off from me handling all of the parts chassis over the years, had broken off and was laying on the floor underneath another PCB. So I actually was able to find one, and it's completely intact with nothing wrong with it. So I'm going to hook it up to, there's a hole right here. I'm going to put a screw and a nut through here like I always do and position it and bend it out a bit so it doesn't happen again or get burned up again. So yeah, I'm going to do that, and then when I come back, we'll put this on the picture tube and we'll fire it up, and fingers crossed it works. So I'll get this on here. When I cut back, this will all be hooked up and we'll turn it on for the first time and see what happens. Alright, so we're all hooked up, ready to go. I got a new battery installed in the test pattern generator. We're set to read our B+. Hopefully it's around, I think it's going to be around 116 or so based off of our light bulb test and what that read as far as the draw on that. Over here we have all the original bad caps. We have the bad HOT, we have the bad R760, the 2 caps that were the wrong rating, and then the corroded and bad vertical sweep mod. And then I have the new vertical sweep mod successfully installed with a screw there. Let's see if we can, yep. And it's bent out so nothing shorts, oops, sorry, so nothing shorts out. And we're hooked up for standard res, so our pin is on the black wire, nothing, the pin's going to nothing. Again, you have to move it over to the white pin on the white wire on the pin when you switch to 25. So we'll start with 15 kilohertz. A, well, I don't even know, we're here to test if it even turns on. If it A, turns on, B, does it give me an image, and C, will it even be good or working? So let's go ahead and cross our fingers and count to 3. Turn this on, standard res. New battery should be good. B plus. 1, 2, 3. It does power up. And just like I thought, we're a bit low at 115. And yes, but we've got this line here. Let's do brightness, contrast. Wow, contrast is all the way down and it's looking like that. Wow. So the refresh rate, okay, there we go, on the camera is different. But there's that line there. I'm not sure what's causing that. But let's turn contrast and brightness all the way down. Wow, and it's still this bright. Let's turn our flyback down. So roughly there. Brightness, contrast. Wow, contrast is all the way down and it's still bleeding like that. Do we have another R811 problem? I don't think so. Let's go ahead and shrink our width. Okay, we have full width control. Yeah. Let's do H position. So right there is equidistant. Width is going to be right there. Vertical position is, oh, interesting. So we got vertical problems. Yep, something's going on in the vertical circuit causing this. I wonder what medium res looks like. Let's turn our color pots down. There's blue is down, green is down, red. Do I even have red? I think so. Let's go through the color bars here. I am missing red. Looked like it. Let's see. It goes R, G, B, and we know we have blue and green. What about red? Nope, red is ice cold. So we have another bad transistor, just like the last one. So our red transistor is ice cold, so it's not either we have a bad pad, which I don't think so because I reflowed and tested all that, but I didn't actually test the transistors. In hindsight, I probably should have, but this is ice cold. I can hold my finger on it and it doesn't, it's cold. So we have another bad transistor. That explains the red, but we have something going on in our vertical circuit. Let's turn this off. Actually, you know what? Can I adjust the B+? No, there's a whole bunch of glue on it. So, darn it. Well, I mean, 115.6 is not that far off from 117. We'll see if I can do something about that. But we need to figure out, man, those get hot quick. I can smell them burning already. So let's see what I can do about the red transistor and this vertical problem. I'll test all of the resistors in the vertical circuit, see if maybe there's something causing this. It could be the IC. As a matter of fact, let's see, we know what our B plus is. Let's see if I can disconnect this off of here. Okay. Let's read what our reference voltage is for our vertical. It should be 25 volts roughly. If I touch this here, 25, perfect. So it's not, I don't think there's anything wrong with resistors or anything in the vertical circuit. I say that because we have 25 volts. So that means that we probably have an issue with the vertical IC causing this. So I'll have to see what I can figure out. In the meantime, let's go ahead and turn this off. Let's turn this off, switch it to medium, flip it back on, and flip this connector to 25. Okay, and then move our jumper to the pin. Okay, now let's see if it happens on 25 as well. Oh, that's an odd sound. H position. Well, we don't have the collapse on 25. That's interesting. That's very interesting. And it's getting brighter. Brightness is... Okay, brightness. Why is it doing that, though? Because I'm missing red? That is interesting as well. So brightness level needs to be roughly there. Well, this is the collapse is not happening on 25, so maybe we have a vertical IC that's just fine. You know, like I say, you're supposed to not have this on hooked up when you're using the standard res. So out of pure experimentation, I'm going to turn this off and turn this off, switch it back to standard, move this back over to standard, and leave that hooked up just to see what happens. So let's turn this back on and try again here. H position. Brightness. Yeah, look, no more fold over. Huh. That is kind of backwards of how it should be. I mean, if you see here on the U5000 frame, it shows for 25 kilohertz operation, you do not want to... Oh, do I have this backwards? Am I a dumbass? I think I'm a dumbass. It's been a while since I've worked on the U5000, and I think I have this backwards. You want the jumper hooked up for 15, and you don't want it hooked up for 25. I absolutely had that backwards. So that explains, so this is working properly. I'm sorry, that's why this is the amateur hour. I had that philosophy backwards. You do want it hooked up for 15 and you don't want it hooked up for 25. As we can see, that's the answer. But, yeah, I still have major issues here with our colors. If I turn blue, right there's the limit of blue bleed, and there's the limit of green bleed. Now if I turn contrast up, oh, see, right there is the limit. So if I turn contrast up at all, it bleeds. So blue's at its adjusted limit, green's at its adjusted limit. Any more movement will make it bleed by contrast or the color pots. So now we have this working. Brightness, right there. And that's not half bad. That looks fantastic. Man. And we have a full square image. Let's do vertical size. Height, actually. Yeah, I think that's good. So my problem with the vertical line there was I had that stupid jumper backwards. I'm sorry about that. I feel like a moron now. But let's try 25 again. So we want to turn this off. Nope, sorry, turn this off, go to medium. We want to switch this now to not be hooked up. You can leave it off completely. I like to actually hook it up to the non-used pin there. There we go. And just to make sure, because I'm not sure that got in there. Yes, okay, that's on that one. Switch this back to 25. Okay. Now, we're back to medium here. Let's turn this on and try this again. 1, 2, 3. H position. Outstanding. There you have it. Booyah. Still no red though. So let's change out that red transistor, and I guess that'll be it. I'm going to try and adjust it to 117 if I can. If not, I don't want to break the pot. But let's start with getting the red transistor replaced and see where we're at from there. So let's see, one moment. Okay, so I was able to successfully crack the glue loose on the B+ pot, and I was able to turn it and adjust it to 117. So mission accomplished with that. Second mission was replacement of the red colored transistor because it was totally dead. It read okay, but it was ice cold. So I put a new one in there and it works just fine now. So now I have all my colors and I have good 117 B+, but the image just doesn't look very good. And I double checked that R811 is good. It's 65 k ohms in circuit, so there's nothing wrong with that. But let's see if we can do some tweaking and adjustments and get this working right. So I'm using a super high impact PCB to test the standard resolution. I have it set to standard resolution on the video selector, and I have my jumper installed onto the 25 volt reference, and we're set to read B+. So let's go ahead and turn it on and see what our voltage reads. 117.2. Glorious. Okay. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I mean, we get a picture and an image, but I think my issue is tube related, because it just takes a while for it to come online, and you can just see how slow it is for it's just, I think the tube, I don't remember this tube being so weak, but I think the tube is just weak. Yeah, look at that. But I have all my colors, and we're right smack dab 117.4, so that's perfect. And it looks like we don't have any red still, but we do. If I actually turn the contrast up, see, we get all of our colors, but it starts to bleed. So let's turn contrast up a bit and turn our green down. Where's our green drive? Okay. Let's do blue slightly. And now I'm going to put blue back. Blue I want roughly there. Green I want roughly there. Ooh, right about there. So as you can see, it's working. But I think the reason it looks so terrible is because of this particular picture tube. But yeah, it's working. Kansas City. Oh, how pathetic they're doing so far this year. But there you go. 15 kilohertz is working. I don't think it's a problem with the chassis or the neck board. R811 ticks good. I just think I've got a weak tube here. So right now it seems to be okay. If I turn the brightness up slightly, that helps a little bit. There we go. Yeah, that looks much better. I'd say if this was, yeah, it doesn't even give a white background. I think if this was my setup, I'd be totally happy with this. I just think that the tube is kind of weak, and it could stand to be rejuvenated. But see there, look how much better that is now after just some quick adjustments. Yeah, I think that's super duper. Okay, that is standard res, looking good. We're still 117.2, so let's turn this off, and let's move our jumper to the non-used pin. That is tough to tell sometimes. There we go, non-used pin. Let's move this over to medium resolution. And I'm going to leave it on medium resolution because the owner of this told me he's going to be using this for a 720, a dedicated 720. So we'll leave it on the setup here for medium. And let's change this out. I happen to have a viewer and a longtime friend sent me a Cruisin' USA board specifically for testing medium resolution monitors. So let's see. I have not been able to test this yet. I've been waiting for an opportunity like this to present itself. So let's hook up the Cruisin' USA board and see if it works. Okay. we're ready to go here. So I think let's go ahead and see what happens. Well, that's interesting. 116.2. I'm sure it'll climb. It's climbing up. Even if it doesn't get higher than that, it's close enough to 117. I'm happy with that. Oh, changing that video connector. Drew some blood. There's 0.5. Hey, there we go. But of course, the onboard video graphics for this are a lot different than what we had before, so we're going to have to see if we can adjust this as well. Each position, brightness until this goes away. So let's say roughly there. Contrast down to there. That's still a bit high. We can see that there. Okay, roughly there, and that's pretty dim. Let's move our H position again. H position, width, and let's stretch our vertical height. Yeah, it's working, but I think I just got a weak tube here. I can't adjust the contrast because it'll bleed on me. See there? Bleeding. Okay. Now if we go through here and adjust colors again, red, that's the limit for red. Blue, that's the limit for blue. Green, green is right there. Yeah, just some quick adjustments. That looks much better. So yeah, I think we're good. I will call this a success. I mean, I'd be happy with that. We are 116.1. Yeah, it's different between medium and standard, but I could split the difference and put it to, like, let's say 117 here, which would put it at 118 for standard, but I think that's fine. Let's see if we can get some better focus. It's slightly out of focus. Let's see if I can execute an adjustment on this here. Let's just go to here and see. That's much better. But we're still a bit too bright here. Focus, or that brightness is all the way down. Interesting. There we go. Turn our brightness back up. Okay. Yeah, I see we're good. So let's recap. We had a bad vertical sweep connector and assembly, how messed up this was. So we got that replaced. We had a bad red neck transistor for color. We had 2 incorrect caps. We had a bad R760 that killed the HOT, and a bunch of other bad caps. Well, I can't say they're bad, but they all needed changed. So yeah, bad HOT, bad R760, 2 incorrect caps, and a bad red color transistor and a bad vertical sweep. So we are good to go. Let's do some more tweaking here. Too much. There we go. Yeah, okay. Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something. Quite an interesting adventure on this one, just like the last two. So if you have questions or concerns, make sure you comment, like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Actually, I'm going to put a tail end on here. I took about 10 minutes or so and spent some time readjusting colors and putting contrast all the way up and then turning pots down and putting it back to center and adjusting pots. And after a quick, I'd say 10 minutes or so of messing with this, it is absolutely beautiful now. I definitely don't have a picture tube issue. This is all just tweaking pots and tweaking color adjustments, and this is just way, way better. I mean, glorious. So I wanted to add this at the end here because I was able to make it look so much better. I didn't want you to walk away from this thinking that it was looking bad, or it had needed further work, or had questions about how things needed to be adjusted, because all I did was just tweak contrast and brightness and color pots and flyback and stream pot and focus, and just it's a big process here, just trial and error. But after doing that, you know, I had the contrast completely down and it was still washed out, so I would put it at middle and it would be way washed out. Then I would adjust the color pots, drives, and cutoff until it would go away. Then I'd make more tweaks, and it's just a refined process you got to go through and do to really get this to look good. But after you do that, it's just phenomenal here if you look at it. You know, this is one of the best looking medium resolution setups I've ever seen. I guess you kind of have to see it in person, but it's really good. Actually, now that I look at it, it's maybe a bit too blue. But anyway, yeah, this is far and above how better it was before. You can see just from the difference. So I just wanted to put this out there at the end here to show how much better it looks. Just some quick tweaking, how much better it can make your image look. So I think the owner of this will be happy. This is going to go in his 720 and get that up and going for him. So I got all three of his chassis fixed, 7400, 2000, 5000, both resolutions. Everything's cleaned up and ready to go. We went over what was wrong with it. So yeah, hopefully you learned something. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.